Okay, good evening, everybody. This is the special meeting of the Finance and Claims Committee on January 15th at 6 p.m. Um, for the committee, we have Brian Bailey, Nicole Eady, Roderick Sawyer, and myself, Jim Freyer. So we do have a quorum, and Richard Dillinger. So we do have a quorum. We're just waiting for one more person. Doesn't look like Johan Lopez, but he should be joining us soon, I expect. First order of business would be, since I called the roll already, is the acceptance of the minutes. Does anybody have had an opportunity to look at the minutes and have any comments or changes to the minutes? I think I do have one change, and Jared, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seemed like on the minutes it said the collection, the narrative on the tax collection for November for November or for December, not, it should be for November, not December. So that'll be the only change that I think make. But having seen no other ones, I'll ask for approval of the minutes. All
Okay.
those in
Yep.
favor? Okay, I got one.
Yeah,
One person.
Jim. I don't think we were here for
I
that.
have to
You can't,
abstain.
you
Yeah,
can't, you have to
okay,
abstain. So,
abstaining.
although we do
Yes.
have, so we have one yes and one, two, three, four abstentions. A little bit. Okay.
Okay.
Um,
Excuse me, sorry, Chair, 1 second. Can we move Johan over? He's under the attendee.
oh, he is.
Mm-hmm.
Are we moving him over? Is Chitzim or Monique, are you running this tonight?
Yes, I'll do that.
Okay, thanks.
Lisa's just having a little bit of technical trouble.
Okay, we can move ahead and come back to her in that case.
Okay.
Okay. And Johan, thank you. We just approved the minutes. Did you have any corrections to the minutes before we move on with that?
Nope, no, Chair.
Okay, terrific. So that's 2 votes for and 4 abstentions. Okay. We were going to go to tax collection, but we're going to postpone that for a minute. So we'll go right to the reports. Oh, I'm sorry. Before we do that, is there anybody that on the line that would wish to comment for public participation? Monique, do you see anybody out there? Monique, do we have anybody on the line who wants to speak?
There is no hand raised at the moment.
Okay. All right. Seeing nobody with their hand up, we'll close public participation at 6:05. And I'd like to welcome Chitsime Lamb, disguised as Lisa Biaggiarelli. And so we were just about to get into the narrative on tax collections. So, you know what I was going to ask you is that there's a lot of information in the packets, and we've got a number of new people here tonight, and I think that it would be interesting if you could give us some background on some of the reports that you're talking about. For example, on the narrative on the tax collection, and then the actual report for December 25th, which is a page full of mysterious numbers that you might want to explain some of the column headings there, like we have original levy, then we have collections, corrected levy, and so on and so forth. So I think that would be helpful to a lot of our new members. So I'll turn it over to you, Lisa. Thank you.
Thank you. I can do that. And can you hear me okay?
Fine.
After all my trouble getting in, I appreciate that. Thank you for your patience.
No problem.
The first thing that I wasn't able to sign in on time, but there were 2 corrections to your minutes. Would I be able to note them?
Yes, you may.
Okay, on page 5, there are 2 corrections. These were the December minutes. It talked about in the tax collector's report, it talked about the motor vehicle supplemental, and it had a 24-month period. That should be 12-month. And then it talked
Okay.
about the assessor's report. It said KMA, that should be CAMA, CAMA, which stands for Computer Assisted Mass Appraisal. So that KMA should be CAMA. And in the tax collector's report, 12 months instead of 24. And those were the
Okay.
only 2 corrections that I had.
Okay, terrific.
Okay.
Thank you, Lisa.
Of course. Do you want me to do the claims first and then the reports, or how would you like me to do it?
Whichever is easier for you. I mean, we're going to do them all together, so
Okay.
whichever one you want to start off with.
Well,
Maybe
the
the
first
claims,
one,
claims might
Yeah.
be good. Could you explain to people what that is?
yeah, that's a good idea. The tax collector's office issues tax refunds when taxpayers have overpaid. And part of the oversight function of the Finance and Claims Committee of the City Council is to approve claims that are in excess of $10,000. You actually have to vote on it as a committee and then pass it along to the full council. So if there are claims in excess of $10,000, we need to bring them to your attention as what we call a special request, and you vote on it. And I typically explain what that is. But in addition, in your packet, there will be a listing of the refunds under $10,000 that we have processed over the course of the past month or time since we've had the prior meeting. So those are in there for your oversight as well, but you don't need to take action on it. This month, there are.
Let me just interrupt you, and I'd like to just point out that this is about 11 pages of details, and you'll notice that there's a bunch of them that are for dealerships. So maybe you can just explain what that is as well. Automobile
Certainly.
dealerships.
A lot of our motor vehicles in Norwalk are leased vehicles, and leased vehicles are billed in the name of the leasing company. So you may see things like Toyota Motor Credit, Toyota Lease Credit. When an individual changes vehicles and gets rid of that leased car, and the leasing company has already paid the taxes for the year, the leasing company applies for a refund and we have to refund it. So sometimes when all those Toyota refunds are added together, they exceed $10,000. So you will frequently see the name of a leasing company in that slot for a refund in excess of $10,000. I think we have one tonight as well. Yes, Toyota Lease Trust. There's a refund there. It totals $13,765.43. That is a compilation of numerous motor vehicles that were owned by them where the taxpayers got rid of those cars. The other special request is for you're familiar with taxpayers who appeal their property assessments. This taxpayer appealed their property assessment. It went to court. The city was represented by the Corporation Counsel's office. The court, there was a judge presiding over the case, and the case was settled. And an agreement was reached between the city and the taxpayers. The court stipulated a judgment, and it ends up that that taxpayer overpaid. Their assessment was reduced significantly. The amount that they overpaid is $78,665.54. This is for a prior year bill. And in the meantime, this account is in foreclosure and it's going to be owned by somebody else. So we can't even give this amount as a credit going forward because that owner is no longer going to own the property. So part of the stipulated judgment, in this case, it's a little bit peculiar. Usually they just get a credit going forward, but in this one, we actually have to issue a refund. We have to cut a check for them. So that's why you would have to vote on this one as well. You will see sometimes the stipulated judgments come through and sometimes the amounts are pretty steep. But I usually will have an explanation for you about what happened. And that's usually what it is, that it's a court case, it was settled, and they ended up overpaying. And I'm glad to answer any questions about that before we move on to some other things.
Anybody have any questions? Any comments on that? And that when the 78,000 is a separate page all by itself, so it stands out among those 11 other pages of claims, the lesser amount. Okay. Without any, if there's no comments or questions.
Chair, I think Councilmember Edie has her
Oh, I'm
hand up.
sorry.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
sorry.
okay.
I didn't see it. Go ahead, Ms. Edie.
Thank you, Ms. Lisa. Just real quick, you said if they're going in foreclosure, so who do you write the check to if it's not them?
We were told, that's a good question, and we were told by our corporation counsel's office to whom to make the check out to, because it's going to end up being returned to the people who paid it. Those who paid it, even though they won't be the owner of the property any longer, they were the ones that paid the bill. But we got very specific instructions what to do, or to have the check cut to them, and they're going to FedEx it to them.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Of course.
Any other comments, questions on that? Okay.
I did give you, for the benefit of the council members who are new on this committee, I had prepared like a 2-page overview of the tax collector's relationship with the Finance and Claims Committee. Because you do have that oversight function with our refunds, but also because property taxes comprise approximately 90% of our operating revenue, usually the Finance and Claims Committee is fairly interested in what we're doing in the tax collector's office. So because you have constituents and because you get phone calls and emails from your folks in your neighborhoods, I like to try to keep you apprised of what we're doing, because we do a lot of enforcement. We send a lot of mailings. And as you can imagine, when taxpayers don't pay on time, there are certain processes that we go through that are pretty impactful on them. And we like to let you know ahead of time what those are so that you can be prepared. So you will hear me talk from time to time about delinquent enforcement, about things like tax sales that you've probably heard before, just from your involvement in the community. So I kind of gave you a little overview of what our office does and our relationship with you, in addition to the claims, which are a monthly event. So that overview, I only do it every 2 years when there's new individuals on the committee. The next couple pages, as Councilman Freyer mentioned, we give a monthly report that is actually prepared by our assistant tax collector, Al Palumbo. And it tracks our collections year to date and compares it to the prior year. And we break things down. And then the other thing I do is I give it in the form of a narrative, because prior council has requested that. Some people like to look at the spreadsheet and some people would rather just read it in a paragraph. So we kind of do both. But looking at the spreadsheet first, we're looking at the prior month, the month of December, but our fiscal year starts on July 1st. So in December, we're now halfway through our fiscal year. and the way that it works with taxes is we start with an original levy. And the minute that that levy goes into existence, it's going to change, because you saw with the refunds, somebody's going to get rid of a car, somebody's going to add a car, something is going to be added to or come off the grant list. So that original levy is what we base our budgeted collection rate on originally when we do our budget, but it's going to change. So you'll see the next column is going to say adjusted tax collections. And then the collection percentage that I pay attention to is the one on the far right, which deals with our corrected levy, because I don't really care about the original levy any longer. I care about what I'm left with collecting now. So as of December, our original levy for the very top line, which is just motor vehicle, regular motor vehicle, went from about 19.6 to 19.4. The bigger change is going to be in something with like real estate. Real estate will sometimes change more than motor vehicle because you're starting out with a larger number. So you see our real estate levy originally was 340, 880, 548. It's up now to 341, the corrected levy. So there's going to be changes there. And then at the far right column, that collection percentage, we break it down and we list for the different types of tax: automobile, motor vehicle, business, personal property, real estate. So in Norwalk and in elsewhere, we collect on real estate, which is land and buildings. We collect on motor vehicles. We collect on what we call the automobile supplemental, which is cars that weren't on the grant list as of October 1st, but came on within the next 12 months. Original billing. So that's going to be like an extra 3 million. And then business personal property, which is furniture and fixtures in the business. So if you have a pizzeria, your ovens, your tables and chairs and things like that, not inventory, but furniture and fixtures.
There's a lot of dough in that.
Yes, correct. That's the hardest tax to collect, because the grant list date is October 1st and we bill the following July and then the following January after that. And a lot of things can happen with a business in that time. So that's the toughest one to collect. But we break it down and we tell you what our collection percentages are for each type. And then we have our overall rate, which is the one we kind of focus on. And then we compare it to the prior year. So unfortunately for December 2025, 6 months into the fiscal year, we were at almost 60%, 59.97, which is down a bit from where we were in December of 2024. And that is primarily because we happened to mail our bills out later this year, significantly later this year than we did in the prior year. So
Just
it
like
would
to point
stand
that
to,
out. I just like to point out that the 59.97, which is in the top bracket of the far right hand column, the bottom number for the total tax, 59.97. And then you compare that, if you move down to that second tranche of numbers in the same column, you see the total tax was 62.53%, same time last year. Okay.
Yeah.
So
We're
what Lisa's saying, we're down 2.56% percentage points, I should say.
and that's significant, but it's not, because if it were March and we had already gotten through the collection cycle and we were down that much, then it would be something to be worried about. But because we're right in the middle of the collection period now, the collection period doesn't end until February 2nd. It's kind of immaterial because we're going to get caught up. And we consistently hit our targeted collection rate, which is in the neighborhood of 98.6%. We're usually above that, which is
I
a
think
good
the
thing.
other thing that we should point out too is that even though that percentage is down, we collected $20 million more than we did the previous year. So if you look at that top
did.
line, you can see the total tax collected in the corrected levy, or I'm sorry, in the, yeah. And you go down, you look at down below, we collected our, what is it, 392 million, and last year it was 372. So,
Correct.
so even though those percentages are down a little bit, we still collected more dollars than we did previous year.
Correct, indeed. And you can see from this report, in addition to property tax of those types I mentioned before, we also are charged with collecting sewer use fees, which are established by our Water Pollution Control Authority, whereas taxes are set by the Board of Estimate and Taxation. But we collect our sewer use levy, and we also collect on behalf of the WPCA the Industrial Pretreatment Program IPP fee, which is when you put fats, oil, and grease into the sanitary sewer system, you need a grease trap, and depending on what type of grease trap you have, they charge you more or less for an industrial pretreatment program fee. So we collect that on their behalf as well, and we bill it to everybody, whether it's a city entity or a private entity. Everybody pays sewer use and everybody pays IPP fee. So that is, and we compare that current year to prior year as well. And then on the bottom, the lower left-hand corner, we track our past due collections. So in addition to the current levy, we collect prior year taxes, interest, and fees, and the city budgets a certain amount for us to bring in prior year's fees to help offset the mill rate in the current year. Unfortunately, money only comes in once. So as our current collection rate gets higher, the amount left in subsequent years to bring in delinquent taxes gets lower because we can't have it both ways. So that's always something to consider when people say, well, can you bring in more delinquent taxes? Well, we've already brought it in as current. That's ultimately the goal. But this year we are having a tax sale in July of 2026. We've already started working on that. So you will probably see our delinquent collections increase between now and the end of the fiscal year. And they will probably supersede what we had last year, because typically when we're in a tax sale year, we do collect more in past due taxes because we're compelling more individuals to bring their accounts current. And then I don't know if there's anything else on that spreadsheet that you want me to hit on, or do you want me to just try to wrap up the narrative for you?
Well, you might want to mention the cannabis taxes
Oh.
that we collected too. My God.
Okay, yes, I forgot about the cannabis. We also collect the cannabis tax, which is the state of Connecticut provides to the city what the sales were at our cannabis establishments. And then we are able to bill a municipal tax of 3% of their gross sales. So we have started doing that, and I just put it as a single line on that report. Now, last month, the committee did ask me to give you a total for what we collected for the prior for a fiscal year, for a 12-month period. So it's ending up being roughly $30,000 a month that we bring in the cannabis tax, and it stays pretty constant through the year. But for a 12-month period that I billed, basically that was paid from January of 2025 through December 2025, it was $353,000. It was actually 353,153.27. But since the inception of the program, we've collected 520,000 and change. And that money will be targeted to be spent by community services. It's going to be targeted back into the community that was most affected by prior marijuana laws and things like that. My job is just to collect the money and turn it over. So I'm not involved with any of that.
Yeah. I think if you don't mind, could you just give us a few words describing what the tax sale is? I don't know if everybody
Yes.
understands how that works.
Yes, absolutely. Our primary, as you can see from that spreadsheet, the primary, the bulk of our levy is real estate taxes. So what we do because far and away the lion's share of our levy is real estate, we need to be very diligent and very efficient about how we collect real estate taxes. So in Norwalk, we have a 2 installment cycle. So the original bill is billed in July, first installment payable by August 1st, second installment by February 1st, in this case, February 2nd, because the 1st is a Sunday. We file a lien if the taxes are not paid. We will file the lien probably in March. And every 2 years in Norwalk, we have come to a cycle where we enforce our real estate and also sewer use collections through a tax sale, which is an extrajudicial, non-judicial enforcement mechanism that the tax collector conducts. So we do not have to go to court to have a tax sale. We do it independently. We do not have to hire an attorney. The tax collector's office staff does the work, which ends up being a huge savings to the taxpayers whose properties are involved in the sale because they're not paying attorney fees and collection fees. They're basically reimbursing us for our costs, which we do have some costs, but it can be basically a 4-month cycle where we file our notice of sale in the land records. We notify everybody who has a lien on that property, and we're basically seizing the property. We're not selling our lien, we're actually selling the property itself. The goal of the tax sale, however, is not to sell anybody's property, not to transfer property ownership among people. It's to compel the payment of the past due taxes. Our criteria is a 2-pronged criteria. So depending on how far back you owe or how much you owe, you can be included in the sale. So for example, our typical criteria is usually about 3 years back. If you're 3 years back, even if you owe $700 on a garage unit, you will be in the sale because we don't want you to be more than 3 years delinquent. On the other hand, the other prong of the criteria is the dollar amount. If you owe $15,000, $20,000, whatever the criteria is that we set, we don't want you to owe that much money. Even if you've missed only your January payment, we will include you in the sale. And those properties typically pay to be removed from the sale. If we start with 250 properties, we will probably end up with less than 2 dozen. And between the time we send our initial notices out in maybe February, March, and the sale in July, most of those properties will pay. And that is the goal of the sale. And we have a website. We have all the information online where people who may be interested in bidding on those properties can research those properties. But very few properties actually end up going to sale because the taxpayers or the lien holders, if there's a lien on that property, a mortgage holder will pay the taxes to remove the property from the sale. So we've already started working on this. We sent out a set of preliminary letters right after Christmas. And between the time we sent out those letters, we sent out about 120 letters. Those were mostly to properties that were identified already as being high dollar amount or 3 or more years in arrears. And between then and now, we've collected over $600,000 already towards the sale. We will set the criteria after the collection cycle is concluded, and it will be based on how much money we need to infuse into the revenue stream to help offset mill rate increases. And we work with the budget director, we work with the CFO, and we come up with a criteria. But we typically hope to raise between $5 to $7 million through the tax sale. And it sounds very harsh, and it is very harsh, but this is our program that we've been doing basically since 2003. I don't know what our number will be. I think it's like our 12th or 13th sale. But every 2 years we do this. We also do it for zoning violation fees and for blight fees. And that's something fairly new. But we've started working to assist those departments as well with their debt. And the tax collector's office does all that work in-house. The way that I try to explain it to your constituents when they take an issue with what we're doing is that in Connecticut, taxes are based on value. It's an ad valorem, value-based system. And we do have various programs, exemptions, and so forth for individuals, typically based on need, that will help reduce their assessed value and give them some assistance with their taxes. But ultimately, it is a value-based system. And we really have to treat everybody the same. And my charge is to collect the amount that is billed in order that you can initiate and pay for the programs that you think are important. And when the Board of Estimate and Taxation sets mill rates, they are assuming that I am going to collect 98.6% of the taxes that are levied. If I drop below that, they have to compensate by raising the mill rate because they're not cutting spending. They're just trying to set a mill rate to bring that money in. So the more efficient and the more effective I as a tax collector can be, the higher our current collection rate can be, the lower the mill rate will be. And that is tax relief for every taxpayer because everybody already feels that they're paying their fair share. So it can be sometimes very difficult to have these conversations with our folks about why they're getting their property included in a tax sale. But that is the way we have done things in Norwalk, and it has enabled us to have fairly stable budget cycles and fairly stable mill rates, and it allows the Board of Estimate to set a lower mill rate for everybody else. And that is why we do tax sales, and that's why we do our other enforcement that you'll hear us talk about over time. You know, you can't get a building permit if you owe delinquent taxes. You can't get your health permit renewed if you owe back taxes. You can't get a resident pass to go to the beach if you owe back taxes. So that's why we do these things. And I'm absolutely glad to explain or answer any of your questions that you have, but that is the charge that we are operating under.
And Lisa,
Great.
don't forget, you can't register your car if you don't pay your taxes.
That is absolutely correct. Thank you, Paul.
You're welcome.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, what a bunch of ogres. Jeez. You can't do anything if you don't pay your taxes. No, but thank you very much for such a detailed explanation of that, Lisa. I mean, it's really important. The job that Lisa does is just phenomenal. When you think about the millions and millions of dollars that we've got to collect from such a diverse community, and she's of it. What do you think we're going to do this year? About 99.6 or something?
I'm not sure. It'll definitely be close. It'll be 99 or close.
Well, let's get a couple of extra points out of that, okay? I
We're
think
trying.
just squeeze it a
trying.
little bit. I mean, really, because every dollar you collect is another dollar we don't have to charge our residents. So, Lisa, thank you very much. Does anybody have any questions or any comments? Anybody want to repeat word for word what she just said? Okay.
Oh, I will. I'm sorry. Thank
You
you, Miss
will.
Lisa. You're like
It's
a
my
rock.
pleasure.
I watch you. You're like a rock star, and I appreciate everything you do.
You're
Thank
so
you,
sweet.
Lisa.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank
no
you.
worries.
Sorry,
Don't let Jim
Bill.
scare you and pressure you. You do a great job. Thank you so much.
She knows
My pleasure.
I think she does. She's one of our most valuable players. So,
Well,
and I've said
I
that
also
many
have a
times.
great staff. I have to say it's not just me. There's 8 of us and they work very hard and they're tremendous. And some of them have even more years in with the city than I do. I've got one with 40 years and one with 35 years. And that's a really long time to be a city servant. So they work very hard. So thank you. And we appreciate you and we need your support. So I thank you very much.
All right. So, does anybody have any questions, comments on Lisa's report? If not, I'll entertain a motion to accept her report.
you're also going to be voting on the special request as well,
Yep,
correct? Okay.
correct, correct. Broderick, did you have a question? Or were you just voting yes? You're voting in favor of it?
You said motion?
Oh, okay, you made the motion? Okay,
Yeah,
thank
okay.
you.
Johan, it was a tie.
Oh, all right, all those in favor? Okay. And then the second motion we have is on the special claim on the tax for 78,665. Do I have a motion to approve that? This is under the claims. Okay, Johan, thank you. All those in favor? Okay, that's unanimous. Okay, thank you. All right. Is there anything else, Lisa, you have to, I think that about covers it, doesn't it?
I think it does. I'm just looking. I don't want to steal
No,
anybody else's thunder, but I think I got everything that I wanted to say.
I
The
think you
last
did.
day to pay, the last day to pay is February 2nd. Don't forget to pay your taxes.
Or else. Scared the life out of me. I'm gonna pay them on time. Okay, next up, we have Paul Gorman with a tax report. He also, I'll let him talk about this. So we have also a proposal from him on well, actually we have that later on, don't we? Yes. We'll cover that. We can cover that in our, let's see. Yeah, we will cover that under the new business. But Paul, do you want to give us an update on there's a couple of things that we had left over from last year. Not last year. Well, that was last year. We talked about this. There was a question about our new online system that was just brought in, and this was an online system that we have for citizens, residents, if they want to go and take a look at what their assessment is, what their tax is going to be, and the valuation on their homes, they can go online and check it. We had some issues with it, and we moved over to a new system. And that new system is now in place. Do you want to give us a couple of words on that, Paul?
Sure. So the new system, we left what was called VGSI.com, which stands for Vision Government Solutions Incorporated. They are our mass appraisal system software provider, and it was their website that we were posting our field cards to.
Mm-hmm.
Their system could no longer support our data due to stuff that IT people only understand. But they recently acquired a new company called Data Scout that has the ability to handle larger data packets like our stuff is. And so we have transitioned to their website, and that launched shortly after the meeting last month. And the launch has gone very well. I've had several phone calls from appraisers that love the new system because of all the new integrated reports that it offers about tracking sales within the city through AI programs that are provided on the website. We've only had maybe one or two what we'll call glitches that I am addressing with the vendor, but they seem to be problems that are more Google related, that somehow when you try to access the site through a Google link, it's taking you to the old website. It's not being redirected. But we're working on trying to see if there's a way to solve that problem or just shut down the Google link. So if anybody has any questions about the new system, I'd be more than happy to see if I can answer them.
Mr. Dillinger.
Yeah, just a question. Is this been advertised to the public, and is it available for most people to go on the website and use right now?
Oh yeah, it was advertised. There were a couple of press releases. There was an article, I believe, in the Hour It's on our website in multiple places. So if you go to norwalkct.gov, on the front page, there's a little bubble called My Norwalk. And when you go to My Norwalk, it says property record information. If you click on that, it takes you to the site. If you go to the assessor's website, it's a clear link right in the middle of the page. But there's also something on the left side. If you like to read the banner side of things, it says property record information, and that brings you to it. So it's in multiple places on the website, and yes, it has been advertised.
Thanks very much. I
You're
missed it.
welcome.
Mhm.
The other thing too, you should mention on this, that even though some people have been misdirected or have not been able to go online to get that information was still available with a phone call to Paul and his staff. So there's no reason why, there's nothing that anybody was missing or information that they were unable to get a hold of.
Right,
Correct,
and
Paul?
we always have terminals in my office available to the public as well.
Okay, I just wanted to make that clear that the information, it's not that somebody couldn't get the information, it just made it a little bit more difficult, but now we're back up and running. Okay, is there anything else you want to talk about, Paul? We can go, I don't want to talk about let's talk about the audits when we get to that under new business, okay?
Okay. I mean, just a couple other quick things. We are in the midst of getting ready to get the grand list signed by the end of the month. This is also the time of the year where in probably about a week, we'll be sending out our mailing to our elderly homeowners program participants who are due to renew this year, as well as to all the people who have requested packets throughout the year to get a packet to try to become a first-time applicant this year. So those are the two major things that are going on in my office currently.
Okay. All right, anybody have any questions for Paul? Okay, great. Thanks, Paul. We'll be back to you shortly. Don't go
Okay.
away.
Nope.
Okay. Next up, we have Sharon Connors, who is our entire purchasing department, and does a great job. And so, a little bit, well, we have a report from Sharon in that it shows us purchases that are over $25,000 and under $100,000. So the reason why we have these is rather than having the departments come and ask, for our approval for items under $25,000, we kind of say, yeah, let's just put them, pay them all, and then the purchasing department will show it to us once a month so that we can get an idea and approve those payments. Usually, if it's over $25,000 or over $100,000, we would the individual departments would come through and it would be budgeted, and we would approve it. In this case, if it's under that $100,000 but over the $25,000, we would approve that expense as part of our meeting every month. Okay. So I'll turn it over to you, Sharon, and maybe just give a little background as to what we're looking for here, or what we are looking at for our new members. Thank
Not
you.
a problem. Thank you for the introduction. So to clarify a little bit more, in the first round of city charter changes, which went effective January 2024, the city charter changed the threshold up to 100K, where that's where the city council would authorize agreements and contracts. The other threshold is if the engagement or services provided by the vendor is going beyond a year. So a good example would be a multi-year contract. Irregardless of a dollar threshold, it would require city council authorization. So a little more background on that. And I come to this Finance and Claims Committee every quarter. So this is the last quarter report, calendar year, that is in front of you. So there's 11 projects expenditures that came across my desk that this team has not seen. Two of them were public solicitations. That means the purchasing department advertised it as a bid or RFP. And once it was recommended who we're awarding it to, then we pass off the information to the legal team to execute the contracts. 7 of them are cooperative purchase association contracts or procurements. Majority of the time, we buy our vehicles through a cooperative purchasing association or state contract, and majority of our IT expenditure is also done through that. And so, to mitigate, what is a cooperative purchasing association or state contract? Basically, the city belongs to cooperative purchasing associations, and what they do exactly what we do at a bigger, larger scale. So we belong to a couple of big national ones, so they would take all the expenditures, like commonly bought stuff like vehicles, IT equipment, fencing, playground equipment, and they would draw up the specifications and bids, and they would advertise it just like we do, but at the national or local levels or the state level. So that allows us to piggyback off of them without having to go out to bid or RFP again. So we see a lot of benefit for those, definitely in the vehicles, definitely in the IT equipment arena. A lot of the fencing we buy from off the state contract. I'm trying to think where else. Our salt for the city streets. And then 2 of the other projects that are listed here are exceptions to the non-bidding or quoting process that I have to sign off on, but it's between that threshold. So,
And for the most part, all expenditures would have to get competitive bidding
mhm,
for
Yep.
us to approve one contract.
Yep.
The other thing too is that one of the things I always used to look at was if you go down almost to the bottom of the page, we've got 2 items for 2 vehicles, and it's the same vendor. It's Gengrass Ford.
Dengers, yeah.
Yeah, and that's 2 separate vehicles, and sometimes somebody says, "Well, why don't we deal with a Norwalk Ford dealership or somebody like that?" But the reason is that these guys are working on a state level, and we're getting a significant discount because we're in a pool of statewide municipalities that are using that group, and so the buying power is that much better.
Yeah. And these 2 vehicles is for the rec and park. Sorry.
Yeah, both
Da-da-da.
Parks and
Yep.
Rec.
Rex and Park, that's related to the recreation center down in the South Norwalk area.
Right. Okay, does anybody have any questions or any comments about this? So I'd like to have a motion that we approve this. Ms. Edie, thank you. If there's no other questions or comments, a motion to approve. So that looks unanimous. Okay. And should note that Brian Bailey has left the room. He's getting on an airplane, so we'll give him a bye. Okay.
Okay.
Um,
Thank you,
thank you.
everybody.
Thank you, Sharon.
Have a good evening.
Thank you, Sharon.
You too. Okay, we'll go on to new business. The first item under new business is resolution to authorize a special appropriation for transportation, mobility, and parking department in the amount of $500,000 for the Sono Roundabout project from the Municipal Grant and Aid Fund account, as so noted. Once again, this is related to the roundabout that's going to be installed by the new on Meadow and Wilson, and I forget the other street down there, by the new school. So we heard about this the other night at the council meeting, and we have Ben to give us Ben Young from TMP to give us a better understanding of what's going on.
Good evening, council members. So yeah, as Councilmember Frere was saying, this is the same project that was presented by the director of TMP, Jim Travers, at the full council meeting. And some of you may have heard my spiel at ECD earlier this week as well. So I won't expound on
I think
it
your spiel was much better than Travers the other night, but might add.
Yeah. I won't expound on it too much then, but just for the record, for the recap, what we intend to do here is fix a pretty awkward intersection. So this is Meadow Street, Wilson Ave, and South Main Street. So these streets intersect at somewhat weird angles and with an old rail abutment blocking sightlines. Because it used to serve an old rail spur that ran from the South Norwalk train station down to the coast. So that rail line is long gone now. So what we'd like to do is realign South Main Street so that it's kind of a more straight north-south shot with Wilson Avenue. And to improve mobility and capacity of the intersection overall, by creating a modern roundabout. So this intersection is immediately adjacent to the South Norwalk Elementary School, which is in session now and is going to have more and more students each year over the coming few years. So it's critical that we get this project started. And to clarify, there's going to be two phases here. So we have a phase one construction, which is what was approved with our contractor VD last Tuesday. That consists of removal of the rail spur berm, and then we have the phase two construction, which is the actual construction of the roadway itself and the surrounding sidewalks. So that'll be the kind of the bulk of the project. But of course, we need to get the existing stuff out of the way so that there's space for our future construction to work around. And that way we can also resolve some of the sightline issues with that old rail abutment right away. So, and also I'll just plug, which I think I've done before, there is going to be some public outreach very shortly for that full roundabout design. We're looking to have a public meeting at the elementary school next door on February 2nd, 5:30 p.m. So whoever can make it, we'd love to have you. So getting into the funding details for this project. So there's three funding sources here. We have $1 million in city capital funds. This was approved way back in September 2023. We have a $2.5 million CIF Community Investment Fund grant that was awarded from the Connecticut DECD, Department of Economic and Community Development. We're still working on getting the contract for that grant executed with the state. So the funds for that are not completely unlocked yet, which makes this third funding source, which is the requested action for you tonight, all the more important. So the third funding source is a very recently appropriated $500,000 from the state's allotment for municipal grant and aid funding. And this is for fiscal year 26. The larger package, it was a larger $10 million package, and I'm not privy to all the details of the full breakdown of how that was allocated. I believe Jared actually might be the better person to talk to about how that 10 million is being split, but our chunk of that is 500,000 specifically for remaining design fees and construction of this roundabout. So because we have recently awarded that contract to our phase one contractor VD to do some of the excavation, this little piece of funding, the $500,000, is all the more important to get approved and unlocked in time for the start of the work there, which is coming this spring.
Any, Broderick, Mr. Sawyer?
Hi, Ben. How are you?
Hey.
Thank you, Mr. Freyer. Just wondering if I can get a look at precise dimensions, because I'm wondering, is this one of those mini roundabouts, or is it,
So it's not a mini roundabout. We call it a modern.
Excuse me, there
roundabout.
is Broderick,
Yes.
in the package, there is
There's
a
a picture.
picture of it.
Yes.
Yeah, page 3 will show it.
Okay. Does it have
So
precise dimensions on that?
it doesn't have it on here. We're working
Yeah, that's
through
what I was
some
looking.
plans right
Okay.
now to
It's
get
an
those exact
overlay.
dimensions.
Yeah.
I'll say right now it's going to land, the diameter of this is going to land between 100 and 120 feet. It's going to be wide enough for a full-size tractor trailer, as well as a fire truck, as well as the many transit buses and school buses that need to go through this intersection. We do realize this is a pretty industrial part of the city. There's a lot of truck traffic, and we would not do well by them to not accommodate their turning movements. So I don't want to get too much into technical details, but since you asked, if you look at that figure 3 in the agenda packets cover letter for this project, there's a centerpiece which is green, and then surrounded that there is like a donut of tan. That is called the truck apron, which is going to be a sort of mountable area where some of these larger vehicles can kind of drag the back wheels of their trailer if needed, as they're kind of coming around the circle there.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, not seeing any other comments or questions. I'll call a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, looks unanimous again. Good, thank you.
Thank you.
Next item up is authorize the purchasing agent to issue a purchase order for GovConnection Inc. in the amount not to exceed $112,733.13 for Microsoft Office 365 licenses renewal account so noted. Do I have a motion? Okay, Mr. Lopez moves the item. And I'm going to turn this over to Joyce Liu, who can tell us a little background about these licenses that we're going to get. Joyce?
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening. So before I begin, I would like to briefly share the role of the City of Information Technology Department. So IT supports the city's day-to-day operation by maintaining the security system, a network application that enable employee to communicate, collaborate, and deliver service to residents. So our team is responsible for cybersecurity, email system, any of the collaboration tools and business application, data protection, and overall system reliability across all departments. So today, this item, I'm requesting approval to renew and purchase Microsoft Office 365 license for City of Norwalk employee. So this license are essential for our daily operation and supporting email document creation, data sharing and security access to the city system. Because the license cover a large number of employees that we have, so the total cost exceeds the $100,000. And since Microsoft, basic is the sole provider for Office 365, and then they don't deal with the individual customer. So we need to go through to get the licensing from Gulf Connection, which is they offer the most competitive pricing through the NCPA competitive contract. The contract ID is noted in the document I supporting document. So our current Office 365 license expired on February 29, 2026. Microsoft do not allow us to do multi-year renewal, so we need to renew in January every year. So next year you're going to see me in January. I'm going to present this item again. So yeah, so this license is annually, renewal, so it will, avoiding service interruption. And we want to make sure all the city staff can, continue working without interruptions, disruptions, right? So given the critical, how critical these tools are and upcoming expiration date, so timely approval will really help us to maintain the uninterrupted access across all departments. I'm here to answer any question you have for, thank you for your time. Any question you have for this purchase?
Do I have any questions, comments? Joyce, does this cover the Board of Education?
No, this is only on the city side. Board of Education, I think they moved to the Google Cloud, so they are not on the Microsoft Cloud platform anymore. And they do have an educational rate. I wish I have, their, E-rate, educational rate for pricing for our, our employee.
So was there ever any conversation between you and the BV to settle on either Microsoft or Apple? I mean,
yeah, we are totally on a totally different system. We are serving city employee, and they are serving school, teacher, and students. So we are kind of city's business is kind of complex. Smaller but more complex. It's like I always joke about the city is like city IT is supporting the city. It's like one company with 30 something business. Like each department have their own application, own business. So Microsoft Office is kind of glue system throughout the whole entire ecosystem of the system we support for the city.
Okay.
We do have the collaboration with the phone system. So we are using Cisco phone system that we are just going through the upgrade with Board of Education. So we have total 14,000 phones, and Board of Education have a 700. We have a 700. So that is on the same server, and we upgrade together. So we are going through the upgrade just in the January.
Are there other areas that you think that you could synergize with the Board of Ed? Are there other areas that you think that might be duplication? Where you
Right. It's like yeah, we talk about, we have a good relationship with Board of Education, so we do constantly asking for what kind of technology they are using. But the thing is, like, a city have our own firewall, city have our own network, and they leasing their fiber, they are leasing their internet service through the digital back office, but city own our own fiber, because we work together with traffic department. So we are utilize our traffic signal and traffic box to extend our fiber into the city owned location. So yeah, from time to time, we would have a discussion about like what kind of software you are using for, and our what kind of firewall you are, so we do have some kind of collaboration, but our kind of, since they have different kind grant to support our E-rate, so it's kind of the separation with our system is kind of needed for the funding that they applied to give it to the education.
Okay.
Mhm.
Anybody have any questions for Joyce? Ms. Edie?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Ms. Joyce, for your report.
Thank you.
I think if we could talk offline about my computer, because
Okay.
there's some things going on and I don't understand it. So
That's not on the agenda, council member.
Thank
We're
you.
happy to help. Yeah, we are
Okay.
in the CTO room 203. So
Yeah.
just shoot us an email or just bring
Okay.
your equipment down.
Okay, thank you
All right.
so much.
Thank you.
That's the
Okay.
problem. That's the problem. She can't shoot you an email.
I know.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Joyce. Maybe we'd like to, maybe you can come back sometime and give us a more detailed overview of the IT function. I think that would be very helpful for a lot of us to get more understanding of what you're faced with.
Great.
Thank
you.
you,
I
Thank
think
you
Joyce.
very
I will.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, if there's no more questions or comments, can we take a vote on this? Everybody in favor? Okay, that looks unanimous. Okay, thank you. One last item here. Authorize the mayor, Barbara C. Smith, to execute a 5-year agreement with Charles B. Feldman and Associates, LLC, for Project 4477, personal property audits for a total not to exceed $165,000 for the 5-year period. Funding available from account so noted. This is for audits for personal property tax purposes, and there are several of them there's many of them that are done every year. And we have Paul Gorman here again to explain to us how this works, and also give us some ideas as to, if we're going to spend $165,000, I would expect there'd be some return on that. So Paul, take it away.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, so I mean the proposal write-up that I provided is pretty straightforward as to what we're looking for. I'll give you some history of the audits and the purpose. So the purpose of the audits is, like I wrote up, that people file personal property declarations every year for their businesses, or should file personal property declarations every year for their businesses that are operating within the city limits. Sometimes through no fault of their own, and sometimes through intention. People file personal property declarations that are inaccurate. They leave things off. They don't properly value them. A myriad of reasons leading to them not declaring nearly as much property to be taxed as the state law requires. So there are audit firms that work throughout the state. We've been working with Charles Feldman within a number of years. And over the past 3 years, 3 calendar years, 22, 23, and 24, I can give you the numbers of what had the return that we've received. There were 30 audits performed in the calendar year 2022. The additional assessments that were added for those 30 audits was $4,170,774. And that was applied at a mill rate of 25, just a little over 25, for 104,626 extra tax dollars. In 2023, there were 41 audits performed. There was additional assessments of $7,094,954 taxed at a 28 mill rate, and that produced $198,659. And in 2024, we had 33 audits. That produced $1,784,925 in additional assessment at a mill rate of 32. And that produced $57,118 in taxes. The thing to note about all of these things is that it's not just the one-time ad. When you find something on an audit that needs to be added to a personal property declaration, and I'll give you one example of something that is definitely a long-term asset that will continue to pay dividends to us. When a tenant fits out a blank shell for a new business, a nail salon or a pizza parlor, or whatever, what's called leasehold improvements, the money that they spend to renovate the space, is considered taxable because it can't be added to the real estate because it could be stuff that they would take out when they leave. And that those things are continuous throughout the entire time that the business is in play. So these numbers that I'm giving you from 2022, that 104,000 became a little bit more the following year and even more the following year after that because the mill rate was increased for personal property on those things. Now, granted, sometimes you find things in an audit and the following year they dispose of some assets that we found. And when they dispose of them, obviously they're no longer taxable. But for the most part, it's a good way to find things and a good way to increase the revenue stream for many years to come. So the audits, although like the current year, the 2024 year, was more of a break-even year on the first year, it's going to continue to pay dividends down the road. So ultimately, the money we spent for 2024 will more than pay for itself. And in the prior years, you could see, like in 2023, we made more than 3 times as much in taxes as we paid for the audits. And with this new contract, Mr. Feldman has reduced his rate significantly from the prior year sole sourcing that we've done over the past couple of years. So our overall capture should be much larger.
So okay. I forgot that we didn't get a motion to we didn't move this item. So do I have somebody who could make a motion to move this? Johan, thank you. So open this for questions and comments. So Johan, you had your hand up.
Thank you, Chair. Paul, could you quickly just clarify how does the city ensure that the 165K 5-year cap is exceeded if the audit volume changes?
I'm sorry, say that again?
So like how does the city ensure that the 165 5-year cap is not exceeded if audit volumes change?
Well, we wouldn't exceed the 165 because that 165, as you can see, if you add up the numbers from the part of the in your agenda packet, that adds up to $148,500. I padded it a little bit as I talked about with Jim this morning, just in case we had to go over the counts that were provided for, because at times you may, with the commercial nature of Norwalk and with all the apartment buildings that have retail establishments being built in the bottom of these apartment buildings like 467 West Avenue, as we get more and more businesses, it may require that we do a few extra audits that we weren't anticipating, but we would make sure, I would make sure that on a yearly basis, we did not go above the number that we were expecting.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Any other questions? Paul, how much did we pay Feldman over the last 3 years?
$60,000 per year.
So $180,000, and we
Right.
returned $350. Is that about right?
Yep.
Sounds like a good, nice return.
And like I said, it's the gift that keeps giving. So initially we got $350 and it keeps going.
So yeah. So how do we decide? For example, you're talking about 50 next year or this year, 40 the year after that, 40 the year after that, or 80. I'm sorry, up to 80. How do you decide to do 50 or 40 or 20, or what's the criteria? How do you find somebody that you want to audit?
Well, I mean, we rely on Chuck's expertise of understanding what marketplace or not marketplaces, business types are more likely to have issues, and also taking a look at the history of who's been audited, because you want sort of like with a reval, that the state law requires that we hit everybody's house at least once every 12 years with an attempt to get in. Well, it's the same concept with the audit process, that there's things that you want to do, say, once every 7 to 10 years. So there's going to be repeat business and then going to new businesses. And it's just a strategy session between myself, Chuck Feldman, and my personal property person, Neil Binder, to take a look at, like, we look at the prior year filings and see if there's any glaring returns where their numbers just seemed really low. Like if a hotel only claimed $25,000 worth of personal property, or if a pizza place only claimed $5,000 worth of personal property, those kind of things stand out to say, hey, we need to go take a look at these. I mean, we don't have anything like Stratford has, where they have to worry about a Sikorsky. We don't have anything that large, but we do have some pretty large places, and with a lot of hotels, that's also a place that's usually rife with inaccuracies.
But how about like all of these, I was going to say hospital. We don't have a lot of hospitals, but we do have a lot of urgent care places that probably have some expensive equipment.
Yep, and like I said, there's two new ones. There's Knight Street, is it, where the old Elizabeth Arden place is? That's a new Hartford healthcare facility.
Yeah.
And we also have a new Hartford Healthcare urgent care up on Connecticut Ave. That's not open yet. I think they're just on the verge of getting a CO. But those are ones that we pay attention to see what the numbers look like, and if it looks as though that it's equivalent to like an industry standard of what Chuck has seen in other towns. Because he does this for a number of towns. It's not just us.
Okay. All right, good. It sounds like a good thing. We should be telling people about that. If, do most business owners know that they could be audited?
It's contained in the personal property declaration, and I'm going to say no. Most of them don't realize it because most of them don't read the whole document, and there are so many business owners that we end up sending a bill to because we make up a personal property declaration form the first year when they don't file, but we know they're there because we drive around the town. We have resources both online and through publications that we discover new businesses, and a lot of them don't even realize that this tax is there, and therefore they don't claim. And so for the first year, we end up setting up an account for them, and then all of a sudden they get a bill from Lisa the next 6 months later, after we've created the account, and then they become more fully aware of how everything works in the state of Connecticut.
Okay. All right, I'm sorry, Miss Edie.
Yes, hi. Thank you, Mr. Paul, for the information. So
My pleasure.
when they open the business, is there a way that we could let them know that they could possibly be audited?
I mean, we could. I mean, I don't know exactly how, because my office doesn't contact new businesses as they come in.
Mhm.
It would be something that if you wanted us to look into, we could see if there's a way for us to try to connect with some other departments that might be able to give us a pipeline of people that are opening new businesses, maybe through the health department and all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
But it's not something that we do currently.
Okay. I'm just wondering. Just the more knowledge that people have, I think is better, so that they don't be surprised about it.
No.
I'm like,
No,
what?
I agree with you wholeheartedly. Mr. Freyer knows from Pat's experience with me, I am all about the education of the people, and so is Lisa, and I know Jared is fully supportive of it as well.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Lopez?
Thanks, Chair. Paul, what about connecting with Jay Hibansky from Economic and Community Development? I mean, would he be someone that could possibly also be used to promote education on this topic?
I could have a discussion with him to see if it's something that he can include in packages that he sends out to businesses.
Okay, yeah, it's just in case maybe there might be a way to use him in that regard. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Okay, anybody have any other questions on for Mr. Gorman? Okay, not seeing any. All those in favor? Once again, unanimous. Okay.
Thank you,
Anybody-
everybody.
Mr. Schmidt, do you
Thank
have
you.
anything that you want to add?
Not really. I mean, we're working our way through the budget process, bringing the mayor up to speed, and her chief of staff, and continuing to work with the departments to keep the tax rate as low as possible. It's gonna be a very tough year. But we'll get through it. We've got the capital budget will go out first on June 30th. We have to send that around on June 30th. So
January 30th.
thank you. January 30th. So you'll all get a copy of that. And then followed by the operating budget. We're planning to send out by February 9th. So those are dates to look forward to.
Yes, I can't hardly wait.
Yeah.
All right.
We're busy. We're busy.
Well, thanks for the time tonight, and thank you and your staff for all the and Lisa and Paul and Sharon and everybody for the time you spent, especially for some of the new members as well as some of the older members on going through the mechanics of what we look at and got a pretty good overview of what goes on in the finance department. That's for sure.
Yeah, they're great. They're so I had 4 of them on tonight with Joyce and
Joyce, too.
Lisa, Sharon, and Paul.
Yeah.
And they're great. I have a really fortunate to have a very good team. So, and I guess there is, I got wind that there's some kind of budget presentation that goes to the new members at some point in the next couple of weeks. And so I heard about that. And so for Mr. Sawyer, you can probably expect something coming up in the next couple of weeks to get a presentation on that. I wasn't here in time for the last go around of elections and that presentation, but my understanding is that there's typically some kind of presentation from the CFO just to give an overview to the new members about the budget process, and so that should be coming up soon. I don't know if a specific date has been set up yet or not, but it will be coming up.
Much appreciated. Thank you.
There's an orientation, I think, that we used to have, but I haven't heard about it. Okay, if there's no other questions, I'll entertain any other motions. Ms. Edie?
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor? Okay, well, thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Have a
Thank you.
great night.
Good night. Thank you all.
Say hi to Flip for me, Lisa.
Okay, good night, everybody.
Good night.
I just want to let everybody know it's Lisa's birthday today.
Oh, hey, happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
That's right. I forgot.
Happy birthday, Miss Lisa.
Have a good night, everybody.
Bye.
Awesome. Good night.